Before we begin our presentation, here's a tricky twin riddle that relates to our short play, The Comedy of Errors. The riddle goes like this. There are two brothers who are twins and born on the same day. One day, a man asks them their age. One of them says, "I am 20," and the other twin says, "I am 22." How is this possible? Much like this riddle, Shakespeare intended for his play to be confusing and difficult to understand at times. We will answer this riddle at the end of this video if you haven't already figured it out.
William Shakespeare was born on April 26, 1564, in Stratford-upon-Avon, England. He was most famous as a dramatist, but he also was a poet and actor. He wrote a total of 38 plays throughout his short career, and some of his most famous plays were Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, Othello, Hamlet, and Julius Caesar. Shakespeare lived in Stratford-upon-Avon for all of his childhood with his family. He had 7 siblings, and he was the third oldest among them. His first 2 siblings died within the first year of their respective lives. His father was a glove maker, and he held many political positions in the town he lived in. This likely meant that Shakespeare was educated due to his father's elevated status in society. When he was 18 years old, he married Anne Hathaway, and shortly thereafter they had their first child. Later, they would have a set of twins, which could have influenced our play. Once he was married, he was splitting time between Stratford-upon-Avon and London to accommodate his career. Shakespeare became a founding member of the Lord Chamberlain's Men, a group of actors. During his time with the company, he performed in the Globe and developed many of his most famous plays. The Comedy of Errors, the play we are presenting on, was first seen in 1594 at Gray's Inn Hall, not the Globe, unfortunately. He died in 1616 at the age of 52 in his hometown. He is remembered as an influential pioneer for playwrights to come. His plays and poems have stood the test of time.
In The Comedy of Errors, there are many prevalent characters throughout the play. The central characters are the Antipholus twins and the Dromio twins. The two sets of twins were born on the same day, but the Dromio twins were sold into servitude for the Antipholus twins. Unfortunately, the ship that the Antipholus family was sailing on split in half, and it separated their family. Each Antipholus twin was paired with the Dromio twin when the ship was destroyed. The father, named Aegeon, was separated from his wife, named Abas, while his half of the ship floated to Syracuse. Meanwhile, the other half of the ship floated to Ephesus, with Abas, Antipholus, and Dromio on board. Because both the Antipholus and Dromio twins are now separated, they are referred to by the place where their half of the ship floated. In the present day, Aegeon tells the story of how he was separated because he is about to face execution for trespassing on Ephesus soil, which happens to be great rivals with Syracuse, where Aegeon is from. Duke Solinus is shocked to hear this fascinating story from Aegeon, so he allows him to live one more day to raise the funds to pay for a bail.
Antipholus of Syracuse and Dromio of Syracuse are miraculously in Ephesus, and they are searching for their twin brothers. This is when the true Comedy of Errors begins. When Antipholus of Syracuse sends Dromio of Syracuse out for a chore, Dromio of Ephesus calls Antipholus of Syracuse back to eat. Confused, Antipholus of Syracuse and Dromio of Ephesus dispute over instructions. Throughout the rest of the play, both Dromio twins as well as both Antipholus twins thinks that the other has gone mad because they do not know that they are mixing each other up. Even Luciana, Adriana's sister, thinks that Antipholus of Ephesus is crazy because he is hitting on her, when really it is Antipholus of Syracuse who is hitting on her. Adriana, Antipholus of Ephesus' wife, becomes increasingly confused with her husband's erratic behavior. Despite his loyalty, Adriana thinks that Antipholus of Ephesus might be hitting on her sister. These types of interactions constantly create tension between all characters in the play.
Later in the play, one of these confusing interactions occurs over the purchase of a valuable chain. Angelo gives Antipholus of Syracuse a gold chain, and Antipholus of Syracuse promises to pay him back later because he does not have the necessary funds to cover the transaction. However, Angelo is in dire need of the money because he promised a different merchant that he would pay him back for a separate transaction. When Angelo runs into Antipholus of Ephesus, he demands his money, but Antipholus of Ephesus claims he has never received the chain. Because of Antipholus of Ephesus's refusal, Angelo asks the nearby police officer to send him to jail until he pays the money. Antipholus of Ephesus informs Dromio of Ephesus that there is money in the house and that he wants him to grab the money to bail him out. Dromio of Ephesus is confused because he was not with Antipholus of Ephesus at the time he was arrested. This leads up to the scene that we will be acting out, where Abbas and Aegeon try to sort out the confusion that has occurred. Dylan and I will be performing Act 5, Scene 1, in which Dylan performs the part of Aegeon, Duke Solinus, Dromio of Ephesus, Dromio of Syracuse, and Adriana, and I will perform the parts of Antipholus of Ephesus, Antipholus of Syracuse, Abbas, and Angelo.
Why look you so strange on me? You know me well.
I never seen you in my life till now.
Oh, grief hath changed me since you saw me last, and careful hours with time's deformed hand have written strange defeaters in my face. But tell me yet, dost thou not know my voice?
Neither.
Dromio, nor thou? No trust me, sir, nor I. I am sure thou dost. Aye, sir, but I am sure I do not, and whatsoever a man denies, you are now bound to believe him. Not know my voice, O time's extremity, hast thou so cracked and splitted my poor tongue in 7 short years, that here my only son knows not my feeble key of untuned cares? Though now this grain-ed face of mine be hid in sap-consuming winter's drizzled snow, and all the conduits of my blood froze up, yet hath my night of life some memory, my wasting lamps some fading glimmer left, my dull deaf ears a little used to hear. All these old witnesses I cannot err. Tell me, thou art my son Antipholus.
I have not seen you in my life.
But 7 years since in Syracuse, boy, thou know'st we parted. But perhaps, my son, thou sham'st to acknowledge me in misery.
The Duke and all that know me in the city can witness with me that it is not so. I never saw Syracuse in my life.
I tell thee, Syracusian, 20 years have I been patron to Antipholus, during which time he never saw Syracusa. I see thy age, and dangers make thee dote.
Most mighty Duke, behold a man much wrong.
One of these men is the genius to the other, and so, of these, which is the natural man, and which is the spirit, who deciphers them? I, sir, am Dromio. Command them away. I, sir, am Dromio. Pray, let me stay.
Aegeon, art thou not, or art his ghost?
O my old master, who hath bound him here?
Whoever bound him, I will loose his bonds and gain a husband by his liberty. Speak, old Aegeon, if thou be'st the man that hadst a wife once called Amelia, that bore thee at a burden 2 fair sons. Oh, if thou be'st the same Aegeon, speak, and speak unto the same Amelia.
Why, here begins the morning story right. These 2 Antipholuses, these 2 so like, and these 2 Dromios, one in semblance. Besides her urging of her wreck at sea, these are the parents to these children, which accidentally are met together. If I dream not, thou art Amelia. If thou art she, tell me where is that son that floated with thee on the fatal raft?
By men of Epidemnon, he and I and the twin Dromio all were taken up. But by and by, rude fishermen of Corinth by force took Dromio and my son from them, and me they left with those of Epidemnon. What then became of them I cannot tell. I to this fortune that you see me in.
Antipholus, thou camest from Corinth first.
No, sir, no, not I. I came from Syracuse.
Stay, stand apart. I know not which is which.
I came from Corinth, my most gracious lord.
And I with him.
Brought to this town by that most famous warrior, Duke Menaphon, your most renowned uncle.
Which of you 2 did dine with me today?
I, gentle mistress.
And are not you my husband?
Oh, I say nay to that. And so do I. Yet did she call me so, and this fair, gentle woman, her sister here, did call me brother. What I told you then, I hope I shall have leisure to make good, if this be not a dream I see and hear. This is the chain, sir, which you had of me. I think it be, sir, I deny it not. And you, sir, for this chain arrested me. I think I did, sir, I don't deny it.
I sent you money, sir, to be your bail, by Dromio, but I think he brought it not. No, none by me.
This purse of ducats I received from you, and Dromio, my man, did bring them me. I see we still did meet each other's man, and I was taken for him, and he for me. And thereupon these heirs arose. I want to take this money and set my father free.
It shall not need thy father, hath his life.
There, take it, and thanks for taking good care of me. Renowned Duke, vouchsafe to take the pains to go with us into the abbey here, and here at large discourse all our fortunes and all that are assembled in this place that by the sympathized one day's heir have suffered wrong. Go, keep us company, and we shall make full satisfaction. 33 years have I but gone in travail of you, my sons, and till this present hour my heavy burden never delivered. The Duke, my husband, and my children both, and you the calendars of their nativity, go to a gossip's feast, and go with me, after so long grief, such nativity.
With all my heart I will gossip at the feast.
The following scene that Dylan and I just performed was toward the end of the book. After this scene concludes, all of the major characters in the plot realize that both sets of twins are both in Ephesus, and they all head over to enjoy the feast set by the Duke. Aegeon is officially pardoned by Duke Solinus, and he will no longer have to face execution for trespassing on Ephesus soil. After the feast, the Antipholus twins and Dromio twins head out to the ship to reunite with each other and to say one last goodbye to each other. Antipholus and Dromio of Syracuse then leave with their ship, and the play is over. The scene that Dylan and I acted out was important because it effectively reunited all characters of the plot. In the Comedy of Errors, there are many important themes that relate to this specific scene. These themes include the confusion of identity and power. Throughout the plot of the play, nobody can differentiate the difference between the two Antipholuses and the two Dromios, which causes chaos. Due to the accumulation of all of the confusion, there is a constant sense of false identity and the search for a true identity. The Antipholus and Dromio twins finally recover their true identity when they reunite with each other. In the play, there is also evidence of the existence of power as a theme. Duke Solinus makes the major decisions about the fate of Aegeon and determines that he will live. Also, the Dromios blindly obey their masters, the Antipholuses, so they do not get punished for doing wrong actions because of the difference in power. There are numerous threats of whippings and beatings by the Antipholuses because they are determined to get their way.
Many different experts have analyzed Shakespeare's The Comedy of Errors. One of these experts is Arthur Kinney, a well-respected Shakespeare analyst with a Bachelor of Arts degree from Syracuse University. He notes that this play by Shakespeare is one of his funniest, but also one of his most disturbing plays. Although nobody ever dies in the play, there are recurring threats of execution, frequent use of slavery, and frequent means of violence. Shakespeare used these disturbing issues to bring uneasiness to the audience, but he quickly covered it up with quick and witty comments by the other characters in the play. Kinney successfully notes that love prevails over all of these harsh actions because all of the conflicts are resolved at the end of the play. Another expert who analyzed the play, Maureen Godman, says that the play as a whole is a contemplation of married love and the reunion of the set of twins and all the characters in the end of the play. Both of us had similar personal reactions to the Comedy of Errors. In our opinion, the Comedy of Errors has some funny moments with a constant confusion of identity between characters. There were some funny quotes and one-liners by some of the characters. However, it was difficult to keep track of all the confusion, and that took away from some personal enjoyment of the play. At times, this play seemed predictable, but there were a few loopholes and twists that caught us off guard. Overall, we would rate this play a well-deserving 4 out of 5 stars. If you haven't figured out the riddle from the beginning of our presentation, here's your answer. The riddle was intended to use a play on words to trick your brain. The riddle can be solved by changing the word 22 to 22 or 20 also. Thanks for listening to our presentation.